Hello, and welcome to a Traffic Jam Thursday edition of It's Just Me, hosted by Brent Fox. So, I am, of course, shooting content on the way home from work. Life is very fluid and unpredictable as of late, and I'm just trying to make sure that I get my content out to the people that have actually been loyally supporting me. And I definitely am very grateful for all of you. All right. Now, there are some subjects that I do want to touch on today. And one of those particular subjects is the part 2 of Laila Ali's Exposing the Truth. And it's just basically just, talking about the feud between her and Claressa Shields. Now, I'm going to give you fair warning. If you have not seen part 2 by the time you watch this video, I would highly suggest that you probably fast forward the next 5 minutes, and then, you can get back to the rest of the content. So, again, these are heavy spoilers, okay? So, again, this is going to be your second warning. Here comes a third one. I am going to be doing heavy spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So, after watching part 2 of Exposing the Truth with Laila Ali, I'm going to be honest. I definitely am disappointed that the fight's not going to happen, but I also definitely respect Laila Ali's decision not to fight. It's her body on the line, and also, her mind on the line as well. Let's not forget that. Now, I definitely appreciate the format that she was actually narrating the story with and all that good stuff. I definitely appreciate how Laila Ali presented these facts, and then what her version of the truth actually is. So, shouts out to Laila Ali for laying that out. Thank you so much for providing us with very, very useful information as far as understanding what happened with this particular feud. So, again, shout out and salute to you. And also, let me do this too. Shout out and salute to Curtis Conway. All right. Curtis Conway was a former wide receiver. I best know Mr. Conway from the Chicago Bears. He was a wide receiver for the Chicago Bears, in the he was mid to late 90s. All right. Curtis Conway was an excellent route runner and hands catcher. He had really good hands and he could run really good routes. So, shouts out to Curtis Conway, for snagging him Laila Ali. And I don't mean no harm by that. It's just a joke. So, definitely appreciate the level of class and professionalism she laid her content out in. And, Claressa did have a response. And let me say this. I am going to continue to support Claressa the GWOAT. And yes, she is the GWOAT, Shields. Now, there is no question that Claressa Shields is the most highly decorated female boxer to ever exist at this point. No one has actually accomplished more in boxing than Claressa Shields. That includes Laila Ali, whose career I definitely respect. Now, me being a boxing enthusiast for over 20 years, I still kind of feel a certain way about her and Ann Wolfe not fighting. Now, that fight, you want to talk about something that would have took women's boxing to a whole nother level. That particular fight was a standalone fight 20 plus years ago, and women's boxing didn't get the traction that it actually got today. All right. And then as far as like Clarissa saying that Laila gave her bad advice, there was not, Clarissa even said herself, which, I mean, unfortunately she contradicted herself when she said this. She was the first female fighter to actually get $1 million payday. So no lies were actually told there. When Laila said that, hey, look, there's not a lot of money in women's boxing. You know, you might want to try to get your brand up and get some endorsements. That's where the real money's going to come from. She didn't lie to you. She didn't lie to you. I think Laila Ali's highest payday was like $250,000. But the multi-millions with an S, and excuse me for purse watching, Laila. I don't mean no harm. I'm just trying to drive a point home. I'm definitely not purse or pocket watching. But the millions with the S, and I think it's tens of millions of dollars that she actually got from endorsements alone, you know, is what actually helped her live very, 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 very comfortably. So, you know, shouts out to her on that. And, you know, she's actually doing stuff. You know, she's actually doing other things to build her own brand. And it has nothing to do with boxing. So salute to her on that. Now also, what I'll say is, I'm glad that there is a final decision that has actually been made so we can all move on, you know? I don't think that it's right to just drag things like this along and, you know, leave people wondering if the fight's gonna happen and things of that nature. So, you know, I definitely appreciate Laila coming out and being like, no, that's not gonna happen. So you heard it here. You heard it straight from her that the fight's not happening, y'all. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to another subject because I can feel myself droning on. All right, so Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Indianapolis Colts. All right, so this particular matchup is not a great one, and coming off the performance that we had against the Packers on Sunday night, oh boy, where do I start? Okay, well, let me just go ahead and start here. So I am very surprised that there was not a players only meeting after the debacle, the fourth quarter debacle. Really, it came really from what I understood, because of course I'm not able to watch games, but from multiple sources of information, the third quarter is where the woes actually began. You know, with penalties and miscommunications on coverage assignments, things of that nature, and then on some occasions allowing runs, you know, chunk runs to actually happen. Now, there wasn't like any over the top 50-yard runs or something like that, but at the same time there were chunk runs that actually did happen. Now, we did actually hold Josh Jacobs to 2.5 yards a carry, something like that. So we did good on in that aspect. But again, this lack of communication with pass coverage and a lack of a pass rush. And I understand that the ball is actually getting out of the quarterback's hands as of late. The ball has been getting out of the quarterback's hands in 2 seconds, or sometimes even less. So that's not enough time to actually get a legitimate pass rush going to get home to a quarterback. And I am not an NFL coach, and I'm not going to sit up here and play armchair quarterback and pretend to be. But I do know football, and I do know football fundamentals very well. So we were taught very early on that if you are not able to get to the quarterback, you must put your hands up to block the sight of the quarterback or block the ball's trajectory to the receiver. All right? I don't think that we are being taught enough to try to make sure that we get our hands up. Now, these guys are professional athletes. They are the best on the planet, okay? So are the guys that they play. So I get it. But at the same time, if we're not able to get sacks, we should be able to at least get a couple of batted balls. Pause, because I know what that sounds like. Yes, we should at least get a couple of batted balls to kind of break up the pass game. I think at one point Jordan Love was able to complete 20 consecutive passes, which is utterly ridiculous. I don't know what type of self-respecting defense allows something like that to happen. Now, yes, there may have been some quick reads involved, and I'm sure that there were several in order for that 20 consecutive completion streak to happen. But at the same time, again, you're not able to get to the quarterback. You have to get your hands up to at least knock the ball down, or at least have your hands up in the passing lane to try to get the ball knocked down. Like, that has to happen. If you can't get to the quarterback, you got to at least swat the ball down. And neither one of those are actually happening. And on the back end, of course, there's lots of confusion, lots of missed assignments. And in this particular game, the missed tackles were a gross issue. Excuse me. Darius Slay has actually looked, I don't know who's actually worse at this point, Patrick Peterson or Darius Slay. Y'all put down in the comments who was actually worse. Was Patrick Peterson actually worse, or was Darius Slay actually worse? Interested to know what you all think about that, because both of these men have clearly shown that they are making business decisions out there on the football field. And to be quite honest, it is really pissing me off. Again, you are a professional athlete, which means you are supposed to be the best in the world at what you do. And yes, you are playing other people that are the best in the world at what they do. But again, you are a very decorated player. Now, I know that you weren't who you were, but some of that at least has to be there. I mean, at one point you was known as Big Play Slay. Now you look like No Way Slay. Like, ain't no way I'm finna tackle him. Ain't no way I'm finna cover him. And I'm kind of baffled at the performance or lack thereof. Like, if he's hurt or something of that nature, just step aside, because I'm not saying that he's any sort of coward or anything else like that, but it is very apparent that he's not dedicated to, no, he's just not dedicated. If you're making business decisions out there on the football field, and that is clearly what's going on, you're making business decisions out there, and not fully immersing yourself into tackling the catch. Like, it's one thing to not be able to cover somebody, which that's pretty high up as far as not being able to forgive. But it is completely and utterly unforgivable because even though I'm not able to watch the games, I cannot avoid these clips of Darius Slay blowing assignments and then having the audacity not to tackle someone. Like, sir, you have been a defender your entire NFL career. You know how to get people on the ground. Why you will not do that is beyond me. If you are afraid of getting hurt, please, Mr. Slay, go to the sideline and allow somebody else who's willing to try to play with intensity out there. Because it doesn't look like you have it at all, sir. It doesn't look like you have it at all. Like it looks like you're not even trying. I'm not going to keep saying it looks like. You're not even trying, sir. You're not even trying. All right. To be honest with you, man, if you don't want to play football, don't sign to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I've never, ever, even with Patrick Peterson, I've never, ever had to take this type of tone with a player like this. Like, usually I'm pretty forgiving with the comments and try to be pretty understanding about, a player's perspective and, hey, I got to do this to, this is no different from you. I got a job I got to do. And, this is what I do to keep food on the table. Well, shoot, you acting like this your last day at work. To be honest, is this your last day at work? You gonna quit? Oh, that's right. You out there quitting on the damn field. Now, I'm sure, Mr. Slay, that you could probably respond to this and diss me about, oh, well, you only got X amount of people looking at your shows and, oh, you ain't nobody. And then from the looks of things, you couldn't have been an NFL athlete. And all of that is true. But again, I know as a Steelers supporter for over 3 decades, I know piss poor effort when I see it, and I definitely see it with you. So, again, Mr. Slay, please don't waste your time or our time being out there trying to do a job that you're not really committed to. Quit, retire. They're not going to fire you. Obviously, there's $10 million on the hook, so they're probably not going to fire you. You probably have some in your contract saying that you still get paid if we cut you. So that's out. But yeah, if you're not going to play, you know what? Hey, here we go. If you're not going to play, get the fuck out the way. Please and thank you. All right. So, oh man. And if you don't want to play, please get the fuck out the way. That is just jokes. It's not really meant to offend anybody or anything else like that. I am making fun of the situation, but again, I'm very serious about the lack of effort Darius Slay is actually putting forward. To be quite honest with you, it's extremely frustrating. It is extremely frustrating. What I want to also make sure that I touch on is this. We are going to have to make sure that we effectively communicate when it comes to passing, and we definitely have to make sure that we are disciplined in stopping the run. We have the NFL's leading rusher in Jonathan Taylor coming to, Acrisure Stadium on Sunday. And to be quite honest with you, what I was getting from the crossover edition of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, shout out to Chris Carter. that the Colts sports reporter was mentioning is this. That offense doesn't necessarily run off of Jonathan Taylor. They're not really necessarily a run-first offense the whole time. They quickly distribute balls, pause. They quickly distribute the football to, eligibles like tight ends and receivers and, of course, running backs coming out of the backfield. And then once they actually have a pretty good lead, they start running the football after that. So the thing to look out for is if the Colts build up a very dangerous lead, then unfortunately the Colts are going to take my beloved Pittsburgh Steelers to Pound Town. No Sexy Red. I can't stand her. Stereotype Red is what I call her. Anyway, boy. Anyway, I think that it's imperative that the defense actually step up. To be honest with you, I'm very surprised that we did not do a players only meeting after this Green Bay Packers loss, because one was in order. Like, to have a collapse like that towards the end of the game, because we were leading in the half. I think it was 16-7 we were up. And then, of course, from the shorts and clips that I've actually had to view, there were several big passing plays involving the tight end, and then Deshaun Elliott got hurt, and unfortunately he is on IR and is probably not coming back this regular season. So yeah, it's gonna be rough, man. It's definitely gonna be rough. So I do look for us to actually wind up losing this game. I certainly hope that it will be competitive, but with the Colts actually having this type of momentum, and I think that they're probably one of the top teams in the AFC, if not the top team in the AFC. I don't know. Yeah, we're just not strong enough to actually beat them. We're not. I'm a realist. I'm not a Cowboys fan. Even though, I am from Dallas. I'm a proud Dallas native. I just do not like the Dallas fuckboys. Yeah. So, again, I have my Pittsburgh Steelers actually losing to the Colts. If I have to do a score, let's just go with it. I think that we actually wind up losing probably 33-24, something like that. Or 33-20, something of that nature. I just don't see us being able to compete with that type of team at this point. It's just not logical. So, we'll be on a 3-game losing streak, and then maybe we'll have a players-only meeting after that. But we should have had one after the Packers lost, to be quite honest. And it's mind-boggling that we're not really building that type of sense of urgency as far as like salvaging our season. Yes, it's only halfway into the season, but we need to turn this around as soon as possible, because I think that we actually have the Chargers down the line, if not, immediately after this game. And then, if I'm not mistaken, we got the Buffalo Bills after that. So yeah, we're gonna need to get ours together, to be quite honest with you. And if we don't, this will probably be the first losing season that Coach Tomlin has. This unit is just not strong enough to overcome a lot, if anything, to be honest. If you got team captains saying that, I don't know about the heart or the resilience of this team. That's frightening, to be honest with you. That's very frightening. So when things actually are going wrong, or if there's some adversity that actually happens to the team, or setbacks that actually happen to the team, we got people in prominent positions on the team that are going to fold. That's very disturbing. It's extremely disturbing. So, yeah, we're going to have to do a players only meeting. We're going to need to try to get this. We're going to need to try to get this worked out. And if not, we're going to have our first losing season. So there's that. And then Aaron Rodgers is definitely not coming back after that. He's not. Like we have a losing season, or if we kind of go to the playoffs and do what we usually do and tail off, he's not coming back. I think that it would probably take like maybe an AFC Championship appearance or something of that nature to try to entice him to come back. But I think anything short of that, nope, not so much. So there's that. I do actually want to give a shout out to my LDBC brothers, Coach 67 Sports TV and Jared 011 Green. I also want to give a shout out to my brother Joe Townsend, who has Old Hillside Bourbon. Y'all please go check that out. Old Hillside Bourbon has its own website. Y'all order y'all a bottle, please, and thank you. It's perfect for birthdays, holidays, and any days that come up that are deemed special. Or if you just want to have a relaxing day, you might want to go ahead and try some Old Hillside Bourbon. So, also, if you are interested in self-improvement, and that is so ironic, right? I just got through selling alcohol. Now I'm talking about self-improvement. So if you want to self-improve, there's also content for that. My brother Junior the Truth and the Black Coffee Conversations definitely have you covered. It's a self-mastery content, to be more specific. And please check out his content. It's also on YouTube. It's usually on weekday mornings at, I'd say, probably around 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time here. My brother Drew Titan LLC has some phenomenal content that he actually does, and it's anything from the Bear Cave, to where he kind of talks about comics and pop culture, to Pep Talk, which is going over, more serious issues. And then he also has the Drew Titan LLC show, where he basically talks boxing. Those can also be found on YouTube. So please go ahead and check that particular set of content out as well. And then, of course, our founder, the General 78 Sports TV. Please check him out. He's usually on YouTube weekdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Of course, and weekdays are Monday through Friday, of course, for those that kind of slowly process like myself. All right. Thank you all so much for tuning in to a Traffic Jam Thursday edition of It's Just Me, hosted by Brent Fox. And happy Halloween to y'all. And I will see you guys next time.